Speed itself is very rarely brought into liability, but on occasions it can be. Before we get into it though, if you enjoy my liability reviews, do make sure to drop a follow. When does speed affect a liability decision? Well, as I mentioned earlier, very rarely to be honest. A lot of people who are at fault for a collision will often try to use the speed of the vehicle that they were involved in a collision with as justification to explain why they're responsible. One example, for instance, could be when you're turning across the path of another vehicle to enter a junction, or failing to give way to a vehicle approaching from your right at a roundabout. As an example, in the case of Barner and Hughes Merchandising Corp., the claimant was looking to turn right from a minor road onto a major road. Another car was waiting to turn into the minor road. The claimant's view to his right was obscured by parked cars. He moved out slowly as the defendant was approaching from his right-hand side, somewhere between 30 and 40 miles per hour. This was in a posted 30 miles per hour speed limit zone, and the vehicles collided. The judge found that the claimant was responsible and that exceeding the speed limit was an offence, but it was not in itself negligence of liability. As road users, we are expected to consider the speeds of other vehicles before making decisions, especially with manoeuvres where you'd be interacting with other road users, as it's on you to recognise that and not execute a manoeuvre that would cause another vehicle to have to change their course or speed. And yes, that includes when a vehicle is going 10 to 15, maybe even 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. However, in the rare event that the speed was being deemed reckless, it can alter liability, as it did in this case where the speed was at times 50 miles per hour over the speed limit in question. Because in this instance, when the HGV driver checked to ensure that it was safe to pull out for their overtake of the vehicle that was in front of them, the vehicles in lane 2 would have been considerably behind, with a gap sufficient for the HGV to be able to pull out. But when the vehicles in question are going nearly double the speed limit, that means they arrive so quickly that the driver of the HGV couldn't have anticipated their speed into the decision making, which is why the HGV driver was not found to be responsible, and the car drivers involved were prosecuted as a result of the collision. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound.